What up? What up?
I think it's what?
I rock the microphone until your brain explodes. Continuous mass verbatim. Jump in the booth and just assassinate him. Heads out, decapitate him. Your spine's left dilapidated. Crowd fascinated. Cock the verbal gat and spray him. My rap's created quick, with the voice faded to hit. Since the grade of fifth, rebel like a slave with a whip. I stop time with just the thought of a rhyme. My pen turns pads to miracles like water to wine. The only crime I'll tell you that I committed.
What kind of actions do you think we need to take? I mean, the popular thing right now, well, in the circles that we're in, I guess, or the circles that we see, where we can kind of pull from, is the black community and, you know, the African community or the melanated community, or if you're a Hebrew Israelite, the Hebrew community. You won't, you know, if you're more the Moorish community. The people who are the originators of life on this planet, you know, whatever you decide to call yourself, from whatever era you choose to live your life from, you know, what I guess would be the first action for us as a people. You know, I don't know if that is the question, or if the question is, what are you gonna do?
So you just really have to decide that now is the time that I'm going to make the change, make a difference, you know. My whole life, my dad has been doing the independent thing, you know. He was always a business owner. So I just feel like I get a little jaded. Like, you know, most people come from the background where their parents work all the time for somebody else, but my parents never did that, so it's just kind of, it was just normal for me, you know what I mean? So
I never saw my parents really own their own business completely. And now that I'm in a position now where I don't have to clock in, we run our own show, I really feel like I want to jumpstart everything in me to make sure I don't have to lose this. Because there's nothing like it. It's nothing
there's
like
no
being...
going back.
No, like you... you telling me to do what?
Yeah,
for
exactly.
What? I'm building your company to your Fortune 500 multi-billion dollar company, multi-trillion dollar industry, but I have no stake in it. All I get is $20,000 a year after I finish working for you for 20 years.
So what is important as far as moving forward for the future? What do you feel is the most important thing that we need to do to get started? Because, you know, you got to get started.
Know who you are, and know what you bring to the table, and know what you need at your table. You know what I mean? Because I don't eat pork, so if you got pork, you can't bring it to my table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't, there's nothing I can do with that. It won't nourish me. You know what I mean? And if I'm bringing something that's going to nourish you, I want you to eat of that, and I want, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can share our resources and help each other move forward. And by resources, I mean time, I mean creativity, I mean, you know, positive energy, you know. So I feel that as long as we all can continue to build in that direction, everything is going to fall into place. The projects that I'm working on in terms of business will assist the projects that you're working on in terms of business, and vice versa.
You know, I agree with you. And I feel like the first step is really deciding.
I know. What significance did the Nat Turner Trail or the Nat Turner land or growing up out there, what impact did that have on you? Maybe not one that you recognized at the time that you were there, but even now looking back on it.
I think the impact that the Nat Turner Trail and library and all the land my dad had, it just kind of represents his whole life's work. You know, my dad is actually one of the people that practices what he preaches. And he might be the realest person that I know, because he does for self. He tells people, you know, you do for self and do it on your own. Well, he did it. He had his own business for years, like throughout my whole life. He's never worked for anybody else. He bought 123 acres that he owns, built his house, and he did it all
By his own hand.
I'll say, yeah, by his own hand, even though, of course, he had support and help, my mom, of course, but he took the time and he made the decision that I don't want to work for anybody else anymore, and he made it happen. Yeah. So that's inspiring to me. It lets me know that I can do it also. Anybody can. You just have to really put the work for it and make the decision to change your life.
I think that's one of the biggest things I remember coming up is we, especially growing up in the Nation of Islam, and the constant do for self, accept your own and be yourself. We don't work for anybody. We don't go to work for the white man. We don't build his house. We build our own. And, to watch your father do that and to be a part of that, to be inspired by that, to see it in action. It has to be one of the most inspiring things in my life. One of the major influences on who I am as a person. And from Harambe Saturday School to Harambe Home School to the Nat Turner Trail to Sister Rita, and just spending a lot of time around all the books that you hear, these young people coming up like, oh, I just read The Rebirth of African Civilization by Chancellor Williams, or Stolen Legacy by George G. F. James, or, you hear all these books and it's like, I grew up with these as my textbooks. Yeah. These were the books that we used to thumb through them. Yeah. We used to leaf through them. We weren't reading, I don't even know, what was it? Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is. I didn't know what it was until the movies came out when I was already a grown person, Maybe high school, college, but, just feeling really empowered by the knowledge of who I really am at a young age. And that's something that I want to see my children and the children my children associate with come up with. I don't want Pasha to associate with people who don't know. Not in a way where she's judgmental, but she's very selective about who's in her circle. There's nothing wrong with that to me. You can't say you live on the principles in my eye and you don't judge or weigh the hearts of the people who are coming into your circle. And if your heart is not clean, you can't be a part of mine, And I think that she should come up with that at the forefront of her mind when she decides to invite people into her world.
Because we're doing it for our kids now. They're the next generation. And the next generation definitely needs leaders, because they're just the graph is just declining.
I mean, I know that the United States now has a reputation for having the worst education system, or one of the worst education systems of a quote unquote developed nation.
But they closing public libraries.
The public school curriculums are changing to a point where they're teaching
Common Core system.
It's disgusting. And if I ever had to send, that's not even I can't even say that, because I can't even fathom sending Kasha or any child that in my care to public school, but just making sure that the information that they come up with is just as empowering and educational as what we came up with. That's important to me.